From the creators of Mercury Theatre Podcast comes Universe 25. Listeners' discretion is advised. Previously on Universe 25.
This is founder era shit.
We've had several people explore the surface, and they would always come back sick.
Isn't marriage and slavery synonymous?
We have followers willing to die for the Chiesa. This is all for the greater good of Callan.
Save my family. We have nowhere to go. Oh my, please show mercy.
We're being punished for disregarding the laws of Callan. Callan hasn't known poverty until just recently. And that's our fault. It appears you're happy to just push it to destruction just so you can say you made a difference.
I wish I never found that tunnel.
Me too.
I am hereby resigning my position as one of the 10 governors.
You treat them like they were some ancient gods deserving of worship.
I can't trust anything you say or do because I can't trust them.
You've apparently made it your mission to make me your enemy.
How often do they tell you what to do or say?
I think it's time the governors lose their grasp on you, and you stop taking your dailies.
You're putting me in jail?
He's suffering. All because he's off his dailies.
Your religious bullshit doesn't work on me.
If there's a little mythology that helps people find that joy, can it really be all that bad? One of the doctors here, she tested the meds Ares has been taking. We'll get this sorted out so you know I'm not lying.
Okay.
The governors decide what to prescribe everyone?
Be my wife.
The very notion of marriage is outdated, and I would never subject myself to such enslavement.
I urge you to avoid taking your dailies.
We have no idea where she is.
I wasn't aware you got affected.
Everyone got affected, Ares. Let's just say the numbers of people like me, the nomads, are higher than you'd expect.
You don't understand how it feels to be under the influence of that shit.
Don't let her do anything you don't explicitly agree to. I do not envy your position.
Don't grab me! Nicholas, let go of me! I don't know if these are withdrawals or if this is just what it's like to feel emotions, but I don't like it.
The founders never intended for us to be reliant on the governors to tell us what to do or when we can do it. It was years after they passed on that the governorship positions were instituted. The governors only want to control us. We were always meant to rely on one another. If a household was hungry, the neighbor offers them sustenance. If someone had no clothing, another would offer them their coat. The governors want you to think they provide for us. Have they provided for us out here, in the field, or in prosperity? No, that's right. We made it out here without them. We did it despite them. They have tried numerous times to quell our ranks. But you know what? Every time we have another trial, we stand up again, stronger than before. The founders told us in Dr. Calhoun's book that the leadership of their time was trying to subject them to true slavery. And they left that world for freedom. Is there freedom in Callan? No, exactly. They have their workers who have their type of reward. I used to have the reward. The big house at the cliffside. It was beautiful, but you know what? It was lonely. You know what I don't have now that I've left the cushy Callan lifestyle? Loneliness. If anyone is lonely here, in prosperity, shame on you. Go out and meet someone new. Go cook. Enjoy a meal together. Fellowship together. Play a game. We aren't out here to be alone. We're out here to be together and to restore Callan to the way it was always meant to be. At the rate we're growing, the Chiesa will make up the majority of Callan, and we can take back the name Calhoun, so the late doctor's name would be used again with pride.
Nicholas? Nicholas! Get the physician! Nicholas! Oh God, Nicholas!
Ares? Shut up for once.
You got it. You'll be fine. We're getting the physician.
First Father, can you stand up?
No, he can't stand up. Get some people to pick him up.
No, Ares. Just...
We're getting you taken care of. Come on, guys. Get him to a safe place where the doctor can help him.
You heard him. Pick him up. Follow me.
Chapter 7. Second Death.
Nicholas? Hey, buddy.
Ares. Can you believe someone shot me?
I know, buddy.
You think it was the governors?
Don't worry about that right now. Focus on getting better.
I won't be getting better. The doctor just told me. You hear that? I'm going to join the Founders.
I don't think that's how that works.
I would like to think so. Can't you just let me have this one?
I let you win every other argument. I don't see why I'd take your last victory from you two.
If the shoe was on the other foot, I'd still take the victory.
Sovereign right, please.
No. We're fine. Listen, Ares. I'm dying.
Is that why you look so shitty?
Go figure. Serious note, though. I asked Imgard to...
Don't worry about it right now. Get some rest. Tell me tomorrow. It's getting late.
No. It's important. I asked Imgard to take over the Chiesa.
You did what?
I know you should have been the one, but the chain of command and everything else dictated that I choose her.
She's... Don't worry about the Chiesa. You can fight this and get better.
I don't think you're taking this one seriously enough. I'm dying, Ares. Go find Leona. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her she was right and that I loved her. I'll see you on the other side, my friend. Forever provided.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that. I'll be back in the morning. Get some rest.
The once bright and bustling Chiesa Square is in total ruins. Fire is everywhere, as you can see. In the last 1,000 years, no intentional arson has been suspected, but the devastation here is undeniable. To make matters worse, we are still unaware as to who assassinated the First Father last week. He would have been devastated to witness such horrendous events.
And where is the Sovereign right now?
That is a great question, Helen. Aside from the modest assembly, nobody knows. The governors have issued a search for him in regards to our First Father's assassination. As far as we are aware, they're only looking to ask him questions.
Is the concern that the Sovereign Right was involved in the First Father's death somehow?
We are not entirely sure. If you recall, Helen, the Sovereign Right was standing beside the First Father when he was taken from us from a distance. I can't imagine he's suspected of murder at this point, but he did go into immediate hiding.
Why do you think the Sovereign Right went underground?
At this point, it is mere speculation. Sources say it seems to be that the Sovereign Right is in danger. Aside from the First Father, we haven't witnessed a murder for the last 1,000 years either.
1,009 years, in fact. Not since the Treaty of Fields in 2042.
That's right, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raymond. Let's petition that we find answers and that the Sovereign Right returns to lead his assembly shortly.
Indeed. Forever provided.
Forever provided.
Well, that was fast.
I'm not coming to you to give you my position.
I don't see why not. The entire Chiesa is protesting your assignment.
You have no experience leading anyone. You've always been an inactive.
I'm sorry. Are you an active, or are you just as low on the totem pole as I am?
That's irrelevant. I have the history.
Is it irrelevant? Just like Nicholas, I have to point out to you the very reality we live in. Look around you. Nobody wants to follow you. Your position meant nothing.
My position meant everything.
Not to them. And they're the only ones who matter. Ever since my friend was murdered, they have been wanting me to take the reins. You? You're no one, except a has-been. Remember the day of your christening to Honorable? They booed you.
Who was in charge 2 weeks ago?
Nicholas.
And who put me in charge?
He's dead. There has been no christening, no passing of the torch. He died on the bed that night, and you immediately told everyone you were in charge. There was no time to mourn the loss.
His passing on.
A distinction without a difference. Are we really focusing on verbiage right now, when our whole square burned to the ground? This is the hill you want to die on?
When you address the Chiesa, you focus on the hope after passing. Callan teaches darkness after death, not us. Our members pass on to the founders.
Your mythology doesn't affect me. I haven't bought into these ancient notions.
And yet, you want to lead them? To what? The same eventual fate as everyone else in Callan? Eternal nothingness?
We had an eternal nothingness before we were created. Death will be no different.
That'll print well.
I'm not afraid to perpetuate the stories Nicholas, you and your cronies have begun, but that wouldn't mean I believe it. The Chiesa needs a leader.
Precisely.
A leader who gives a shit about them, not whatever you have to offer.
I offer acceptance. I offer hope, and I offer Callan. What about you? The way I see it, you simply rode Nicholas's coattails to anywhere you ever got. You're nothing, and you've always been nothing.
Then why'd you kill Nicholas?
I never.
The way I see it, you knew Nicholas was finally in a state where you had a chance of taking the lead. You took it, killing my friend.
These accusations are not only preposterous, but exasperating, and you're only grasping at straws. It wasn't my fault you were drugged by the governors.
Wasn't it?
Oh, come now. That's a stretch, even for this conversation. I never drugged you. The dailies were dispensed and analyzed. The first father saw the faith in you waning in the eyes of the Chiesa and chose me to be his successor. I didn't tell him to do it.
I have my doubts in that, too. You would stop at nothing to take power wherever you can. What about the other prospective governor who conveniently went mad while you got promoted to governorship?
I think this discussion is over.
I think it's far from over.
We are having a conference tonight, and I would like you to lead the meeting as sovereign right.
Not in another 1,000 years.
They'll listen to you. We can't afford to lose the rest of prosperity to protests.
I agree with that much.
Finally, we find some common ground.
Yes, but I would never be your patsy.
I will not indulge in that argument either. Ares, we need to have unity once again in the Chiesa, and a christening of someone with experience is necessary to make that happen.
I'll do it. But it isn't for you. It's for the Chiesa. The Chiesa lost everything when they chose to follow Nicholas, and I'm not about to leave them stranded. Not for you, not for anyone.
We are still mourning our loss of First Father Nicholas and Chiesa Square. In search for answers, our Sovereign Right would like to make an announcement. Sovereign Right Ares.
Thank you, Justice Choice. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. As I'm sure you have, I too have lost so very much sleep. I want to assure you, the Chiesa is still going to proceed, despite the loss of my personal friend and our first father, Nicholas. Acts like the arson of our Chiesa Square are never condoned. Those who perpetrated such acts will be held accountable. But that's not why we're here. We have been faced with a very difficult decision. I am addressing you in the Chiesa to inform you the passing of the torch the First Father has held for 5 years. In his last moments of life, the First Father informed me that Honorable Irmgard would be taking the new role as First Father. Please, I didn't make the decision to crown her. I knew the history she had among the governors. She cheated her way up the ranks. But by the time I realized, it was too late to tell the First Father. I am to question the First Father's decisions, and you have never seen me on the foreground. For good reason. The responsibility is too much. I never wanted the attention. But First Father Nicholas kept pulling me forward to be there for him and for the Chiesa. I realize the First Father made his decision, and I support it, despite my knowledge of Honorable Irmgard. But, to solidify it, we are here tonight in your presence. So please, we are going to have a vote for either of us.
Sovereign right! We're not prepared for any kind of vote!
Justice Joyce will oversee the proceedings.
Ares, we can't do this!
Excuse us for a minute, please. I disagree. The Chiesa is demanding confidence in their leader. Make it happen somehow. Set up a desk over there or something. Take a tally. I don't care. We're not going to...
You bastard! Who the fuck do you think you are that you'll leave the future of the entire Chiesa in the hands of a mob of people? For all we know, they're the ones who set the square on fire.
Did you hear their boos? Did that sound like a mob you want to lead? One that doesn't respect you?
You instigated the rage.
You were here the whole time. You know that's not how it happened.
What happens when I get elected?
You elected. Okay, sure. Let's settle this now, before the votes come in.
I would like the attention of the Chiesa, please. Thank you. We have tallied the votes from the crowd, and here are the results. Sovereign Right Ares has 2,749 votes, with 413 votes for Honorable Irmgard.
Now what?
Leona!
I didn't come alone.
Professor? Oh my god, it's so good to see you two.
It's great to see you two.
Ares?
What are you doing here?
You lost the only friend you still had. And we knew that you needed a friend.
Or two. We saw you ousted Irmgard.
We agreed that whoever lost the nomination would step down. I didn't oust her, necessarily. The Chiesa is getting bigger, but there was never going to be enough room for the two of us.
So, what now?
It's time we cleaned up our messes. We lost so much recently.
After that?
I don't know. But what I did know is that if I had let Irmgard take over, the Chiesa would create a war with Calland.
Can we come back to prosperity?
Of course.
Leona, I would advise against making that decision.
Why not? It would be great to have you back.
Absolutely. But to come back would be coming back to the Chiesa.
The modest assembly is dissolved. It's just me. I have to appoint a sovereign right. I wanted to name you, Professor, but you aren't here. Now you're here. You can be my right-hand person. You can help direct me and the Chiesa for the greater good of Calland's citizens.
I wouldn't do it. The Chiesa is inundated with theocracy and superstitious thinking. The Chiesa has devolved our species. We are less intelligent than we were 5 years ago, trading intelligence for pseudo-intellectualism. Everyone who lives in the field had somewhere to live, never hungry, never concerned about their day-to-day. But now people live in literal mud.
I know there are faults with the Chiesa. You could help me change that. Make it right.
How? I was a professor of knowledge, not superstition.
You of all people know my aversion to the lies the Chiesa created. We can change that. Please. And you, Leona, you can return to being one we can rely on. You can be the Duchess again.
Don't call me that. That was Nicholas's name for me.
You can fight it, but that's how the Chiesa addresses you. To them, you are and will always be their Duchess. I don't like it any more than you do.
What are you going to do with his reputation?
What do you mean?
I know he hurt me sometimes, but the Chiesa won't stand if they knew how abusive he was to me.
Dissolve the Chiesa. It's the only moral thing to do.
No.
Damn anyone's reputation, especially after death.
No. The moral thing to do is to give everyone something to continue to believe in. They're effectively homeless, but at least here they have camaraderie. There's some semblance of humanity.
If you dissolve the Chiesa, the governors would likely return flats to everyone.
Do you really suggest we dissolve a community on a hope they'll have somewhere to go afterwards? Are you in? Will you be my sovereign right?
My answer is still no. I wouldn't look the other way while unfounded beliefs pollute people's minds.
Leona?
I'll stay here. Where would I stay, though?
Our place burned down in the protest to Imgard. I was given a new place, but it is only one room. You can stay with me until we get you situated.
Sounds good to me. Professor, stay a night. Reconsider, but stay a night at least.
I'll stay a night, but there is no justification for the belief in the founders, or should I say, the belief in that bastardization of the founders you've created.
Believe me, I know. I'll find someone else, but you should imagine what could happen if only you accepted the role.
Under no circumstance. But I do appreciate the offer.
Leona?
Ares?
Leona, I need to ask you something. It's pretty important.
And you wanted to ask me in private specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Ares, calm down. You're acting so nervous. Are you nervous?
Maybe a little.
I haven't seen you like this since... What's going on?
I want you to be my wife.
What the fuck? No!
Wow. Maybe give it a second to digest before immediately telling me no.
I don't see why. I'm not getting married. I wasn't going to marry Nicholas, and I'll never marry you. It isn't anything personal. Do you know that Nicholas's death would have made me a widow? The first wife and the first widow in Calland. In ever.
We're not talking about Nicholas right now, and what do you mean it isn't anything personal? It is the very definition of personal. It's personal to you and to us.
I didn't even know you liked me, much less wanted to spend the rest of your life with me exclusively.
Leona, I love you.
We all know love isn't anything more than endorphins and norepinephrine.
Scientifically, but love is more than just chemicals and hormones.
You're sounding more and more like Nicholas and all his bullshit he tried indoctrinating the Chiesa with.
You mean that despite those days and nights we had together, you haven't ever thought about us?
What's to think about?
That we were a good fit.
I have feelings for you, but I wouldn't describe them as love per se.
So you do have feelings?
I hate to break it to you, Ares, but I'm not getting married. I would cease the whole proposition of marriage altogether. And please, for the love of fuck, please don't let the Chiesa find out that you're interested in the concept. I was sure that with Nicholas, marriage also died again, as it should have never been revived. People will start getting married and everything will go to hell.
Not if they have a good example of what marriage could be. Stay in prosperity. Be my wife. I will worship and respect you as I always have.
You're sweet. Let's rewind and pretend I didn't say fuck no. Let's pretend I said I'd think about it. I have feelings for you, Ares, I do. Let's leave it at maybe, and we'll see what happens, but don't push it, okay?
I can deal with a maybe. One of our members has learned to cook, and she was the one who offered to cook in your honor today.
Are you sure it was an our honor? I'm pretty sure Lotta learned how to cook to impress you.
I don't think so. Oh, Lord, I hope not.
What? She's cute.
I don't think we have the same definition of the word cute. What about you, Professor?
What about me?
Do you have any interests?
Oh, here and there. Nothing ever serious. I've never been anyone's type. Especially not now that I have nowhere to truly call home.
I can't imagine that makes for a fun romp in the hay.
No, you're right. I used to be able to go to a club, grab a few drinks, go home with someone. Now there's no club. There are no drinks. There's no home. It'd be funny if it wasn't so tragic.
Oh, Professor, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make fun.
It's quite all right, Leona. You're a sweetheart.
Oh, no, please don't get the wrong idea. You're not my type either. The beard, not my thing.
Ouch. Sounds like someone needs to shave.
Don't give him any ideas.
Oh, not at all. I already did all the learning I was destined to. Now it's just a matter of forgetting everything and then dying.
Did you just say destined, Professor? Do you believe in destiny?
You know what I mean.
I'm afraid I might. You use words like destiny so flippantly, and yet you supposedly don't believe in superstitious thinking. Professor, I caught you.
We use rhetoric like destiny or oh my God and Lord flippantly. That's how language works. It isn't about what we believe in. It's language.
The Chiesa's language is rhetoric too. There is no difference.
See, that's where we're going to disagree, Ares. What you're talking about in the Chiesa is indoctrination. You're teaching innocent people to believe in make-believe. You do know what make-believe is, don't you?
I think I understand the concept of make-believe, yes. I still contend that there's no difference.
Well, but there is. The language I just referred to is the result of make-believe, but they died out hundreds of years ago. The language continued, but it's lost its definition. It's no longer make-believe, it's but rhetoric. What you're teaching is regression. What I'm saying is rhetorical.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
Indeed. Thank you. You should tell,
Lotta.
Lotta, yes. You should tell Lotta that her food is exquisite. I have eaten at some fine establishments, and this ranks high among them in quality.
I know, right?
I don't get out very often. Especially since...
Yes.
Thanks for dinner. I have to...
Sure. Take your time. She didn't take the news too well, I take it?
No. The heart is a fickle thing, especially when your club doesn't permit the usage of medications.
Not the Chiesa's finest moment, but do you mind refraining from using the word club to refer to the Chiesa?
Well, why don't we call it what it truly is? A cult.
I didn't invite you to my home to insult me, or the Chiesa. Miss Lotta didn't cook for you, only to insult her intelligence, calling her some sort of cult member.
I'm not calling her a cult member. I'm calling you a cult leader. It isn't the fault of people who are too ignorant to recognize they're in a cult. Hell, I was in the Chiesa for a couple of years myself. Or don't you remember?
I think you've overstayed your welcome at my table. You'll be sleeping at Christoph's. But when you're there, please don't make it a point to insult their intelligence too. Good night, Professor.
First Father, please wake up.
Hello?
First Father, we have a group of the governor's agents approaching our walls.
Do they look threatening, or are they here to talk? What's going on?
They appear to be bringing information, but some do appear armed.
Okay, I'll be right out. What's the situation?
They've been trying to get our attention.
They have it. Now what?
What can we do for you?
We are here in relation to the murder of one of your citizens.
First Father Nicholas.
Must be. Tell them we can discuss it inside the gates. Open them.
Open the gates!
I'm sorry for the intrusion. You must be Ares.
First Father Ares, yes.
Sure. Like I said at the gate, we came to investigate the murder of one of your citizens, Nicholas.
First Father Nicholas was assassinated by your people 2 weeks ago. Is there anything else?
I couldn't imagine it was an order by the governors, but we can certainly look into it further. While I'm here, though, I think it beneficial that we discuss your relationship with Nicholas.
Are you investigating me?
The sooner we can conclude our meeting here, we can interview other people who were close to the murdered victim. Then we'll be out of your hair. I promise you.
He wasn't murdered. He was assassinated. He was an outcast from Calland and got killed for his political activity. His death was an assassination, nothing less.
Understood. Can you guide me to the assassin? It has been 2 weeks, ample time to do your investigation and determine the murderer.
As far as I know, you could have pulled the trigger. Where were you during First Father Nicholas's speech?
I was at home with my girlfriend, but I don't see how that's any of your business. I'm not the one under scrutiny.
You don't know that.
Is there anyone in particular you think may have had some sort of affiliation with Nicholas's death?
Yes, but let's make something abundantly clear. We're not talking about the average citizen. Nobody has been killed in 1,000 years, and now suddenly a man with a political leaning in opposition to the governors gets killed. It's an assassination. We should be looking for an assassin, not some guy who was standing 10 feet away from their best friend when he got shot.
I can appreciate the hostility you appear to have.
Do you? Because I don't think you do.
Of course. I'm trying to cover all our bases.
So you've already interrogated the governors?
No. There would be no need for that.
You just said you were trying to cover all your bases. I would recommend you leave Prosperity before the Chiesa becomes truly hostile towards you.
I hope you're not suggesting what it sounds like you're suggesting. We're here to ensure that your friend's wrongful death gets resolved.
And then what? You'll murder them in public like my friend was?
The circumstances are highly unusual.
No shit. The way I see it, you'd find out who it was and you'll give them some kind of reward.
I see there isn't going to be any more progress talking to you. I apologize for the intrusion, but before I go, who else would you recommend I talk to before we return to Callan?
There is no one else for you to talk to. You can see yourselves out now.
I see. Ares, I warn you.
First Father Ares.
I'm trying to be professional here. Please allow me that ability. Since graduating from university, I have been a personal guard to the governors. But over the last few months, the governors have been amassing a force of military members from the inactives. There used to be a handful of us from the beginning of Callan, but it's much bigger. I think Callan is preparing to lay ruin to your village. I know I've overstayed my welcome, and I know you will do the best thing for the Chiesa. Forever provided.
Forever provided.
Stay tuned for sneak previews for next week's episode of Universe 25. Universe 25 was written, directed, and sound designed by John S. Badger. Written in collaboration with Alvin Lai and Nathan Woltering. Vocal talents for today's episode by
Maximilian Koger as Ares.
Danny Schuster as Nicholas.
Destiny Patterson as Leona.
Tom Harrison as the Professor.
Rebecca Boyce as Irmgard.
Rachel Adams as Joyce.
Adam Arthur as Guard.
Nathan Woltering as Faust.
Shannon McCurley as Helen.
And by
Jadon Cummings as Raymond.
Casting assistance by Chad Bell. Post-production assistance by S.B. Rupert. And for the intro and outro narration, I'm Richard Braddock. Visit our website, universe25pod.com, for more information, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram for behind-the-scenes content. If you enjoyed this, please consider rating and reviewing this show on your podcast platform of choice. The Universe 25 theme music, Two to Tango, was created by Joe Blankenberg and used with permission by Position Music. Next week on Universe 25.
I need an advisor, and I was hoping I could count on you to be my sovereign right.
Forever provided! It appears you are about to face some kind of war with Callan.
If anyone appears to be getting ready for battle, it is undoubtedly your group.
First Father, I need you to come with me. You, help me get the First Father to safety.
Now what?
Hello, it's great to see you're still here. I'm John Badger. Universe 25 Season 1 finale is next week, and we have a bonus episode a month after that for everyone, but it'll be available to patrons on July 3rd. As a warning, it's hilarious. We're also going to be posting a series called The Non-Canonicals, exclusive to patrons for as little as $1 a month. We're still needing 24 patrons of any level before we'll be able to start working on Season 2. If you don't have enough money to toss our way, that's fine, and you can still help the show by introducing a friend, family member, or an enemy to Universe 25. We've been hard at work making not only Universe 25, but Mercury Theatre Podcast as well. If you're a fan of this and haven't been listening to our other audio drama, go check out Mercury Theatre Podcast everywhere this one is found. Lastly, you are a special flower blossoming among many. Without you, the garden is incomplete.